It seems all right for us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's show. Alhamdulillah, we have with ourselves brother Hasnain Attari from Batley, Yorkshire, who's going to be spending some time with us today and hopefully giving us some words of wisdom. Alongside him, I'll introduce brother Waseem Bhai, who's made many appearances already. Alhamdulillah, brother, I've spent a lot of time with, and somebody who motivates me on a regular basis, alhamdulillah. So, without further ado, we apologize for the slight delay, but today's topic is going to be homeboys for life. So we're going to be talking about what are your boys, who are your boys, who should be your boys, what criteria you should have. And alhamdulillah, Deen is so vast that it's given us criteria for everything. So it's always given us the right criteria for everything that will benefit us in both our deen and our dunya. So without further delay, brother Hasnain Attari, my first question is for yourself. What when we say your friends, your real boys, who are your real boys? What is the definition? Who is your real friend?
First of all, thank you for having me. Waseem Bhai can't hear me.
Right, can you hear them?
I can hear them, but Waseem Bhai can't hear them. Waseem, have you got any headphones nearby? Anything? Maybe that might work. Sort it out. No, not yourself. The brothers. Then sorry about this.
No, I don't. Can the viewers hear?
No problem.
You got live comments?
I can hear you. Waseem Bhai, I suggest just going off and coming back on.
Okay.
Just ask one of the viewers if they can hear.
Yeah.
Have you got live comments there?
Yeah, we do have live comments. I'll ask the brother at the back if
you can hear. Yeah, he said they can hear us. So just wait for Waseem Bhai to jump back on. But yeah, alhamdulillah, Jazakallah for having us. Thank you for having us. Jazakallah to all the viewers for tuning in as well. We'll just wait while Waseem Bhai comes back. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, the definition of a real friend, in Islam, it's important to understand that a true friend is the one that's going to help you towards your deen. A true friend essentially is one that's going to remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Al-akhillau yawma idhin ba'duhum li ba'din adu illa al-muttaqeen. Close friends in this dunya. Waseem Bhai, can you hear us now? Perfect. So we're just coming on to, the brother's question, the Hidayah's question, what defines a good friend? And I was just explaining that a true friend is one that reminds one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reminds one of the deen. And this ayat in the Quran, Al-akhillau yawma idhin ba'duhum li ba'din adu illa al-muttaqeen. And that is that close friends in this dunya, on the day of judgment, they're going to be enemies. So when we read this ayat, it's very important that we ponder over this. Who are our friends? Close friends in this dunya are going to be enemies on the day of judgment, except, there's a condition, except those that are righteous. And that's the answer to your question. Those friends that are righteous are indeed true friends, because they will benefit you in the dunya and also in the akhirah.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Just going off that, Waseem Bhai, so he's given a definition of who your friends are. They should benefit you both in the dunya and the akhirah. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, I think we're all in our 30s. So if you could
elaborate on that, whenever we do anything in our lives as Muslims, we should look at and try to get guidance from our manual, the Holy Quran, the Quranic part, as well as the hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Excuse me, as well as the hadith and the seerat and the sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you look at the narrations, the very famous hadith of the Prophet alaihi wasallam, it says that a friend is he who, when you see him, like Hafiz mentioned, that he reminds you of Allah Almighty, and when he speaks, it increases your knowledge, and when your friend does any actions, it should remind you of the Akhirat. And the second narration of the Prophet ﷺ, which I want to mention, is that a man is on the religion of his friend, so let one of you look at whom he befriends. So look carefully who you become friends with. When you look at these two narrations, we should close our eyes and try to imagine our friends, our circle of friends, those people we sit with, those people who we stand, we walk with, we go out to eat with. all these people, if you bring their image, their faces, their names in front of your eyes and your hearts and your minds, then ask yourselves, when you see these people, when you see your close friends, does this friend of yours remind you of Allah Almighty? When he speaks, does it increase your Islamic knowledge? And his actions, do they remind you of the hereafter? And then if they don't, then according to the best of creation, the definition of friendship do not fulfill this. These are not your real friends.
Basic. And just to go on the back of that as well, I've heard a scholar, Allama Rashid Badri, once give an example that an individual is like a feather, and his friends are like the wind. Whichever way the wind pushes or whichever way the wind blows, it takes them towards that. It takes them in a certain direction. And people probably think, people might have the mentality, oh no, I know my friends, they got my back, and everybody thinks this. Waseem Bhai, but how many a time have you seen young individuals pass away and their friends, when it comes to the janazah time, where do they normally be?
Well, I'll tell you from my own life experiences that we don't need friends like them. Those individuals who we call friends, who even lesser, for example, if you pass away, we should question ourselves and think and reflect and ponder that if we pass away today, our so-called close friends, how can they benefit you? I mean, most people, unfortunately, their friends will be good for moving the sofas in the house. When the Puris people come to your house with the Fatiha, they'll be good for moving them sofas and making space and maybe making a few comments on social media, may he rest in peace, etc., etc. Now, if we ask our friends, or if we ponder and reflect, will our friends be those who will be able to recite Surah Fatiha Sharif and doing Isali Swab for you? Will they be able to wash your body? Will they be able to shroud your body? And I'll go one further and say, them friends of yours, 6 months down the line, if you ask them, where is your friend's cupboard? I'm telling you from own experiences, majority of them, they weren't able to point out where your grave is. And this is the true fact of a lot of people's friendship today.
Allahu Akbar. Yeah, it's a very important point what Waseem has mentioned there, that, it's sad that, and what Brother Hafiz said, that your friends will be present at the back of the masjid. They'll be in their jeans, they'll be in their t-shirts. And of course, they will be feeling sad for you. There's no doubt about that. You probably had to together. But, what's going to matter to you in that situation is not somebody who can just come and add to the hundreds of people that are already there. And, if that's what it comes down to, that they're just helping your family with the arrangements of the janazah and it stops there and a few social media posts, that would be quite sad. And it's important that we take these examples and wake up now, because ultimately, if we find ourselves in that situation and our friends deserted us, then the same is going to happen on Qiyamah. The same is going to happen on the Day of Judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us this in the Quran. In another ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. And this is quite deep. The Mufassirin, those that commentate on the Quran, they say that, a man will be seeing this scene before him, that the Prophet ﷺ is leading his ummah into paradise, but he's not part of that. He's not part of that, them people. And he's saying, oh, woe to me. Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. And he will forget his friends. They will have forgotten him, but he will forget them to the extent that he won't even remember their name. He'll say, oh, woe to me. Why I am not part of that path today because of fulan. And the word is used fulan. He won't even remember their name. And that's translated by the scholars as today, you say so-and-so. I was with so-and-so. You forgot. He's even forgotten their name. That's how worthless you will become to each other on that day. If you don't benefit each other, if you don't guide each other to the right path in this dunya, it's going to be the same in the akhirah. You will run away from each other. And you will be, like the first ayat, you will be enemies with each other. And it's important that, we wake up to this fact in this dunya. One scholar, he said in a bayan, and it's quite funny actually, how you go through this vetting process of when you're looking for a spouse, when you're looking for a wife, you'll have certain conditions. She's got to wear the scarf. Some people will say she's got to be from a certain area. She's got to be a certain profession. I don't want her to work. I want her to work. Maybe this criteria, we should use a similar criteria. We should have certain conditions when we look for our friends also. That our friends, they should be on the deen. They should respect their parents. They should be good-mannered individuals. Maybe we should have a criteria like this for our friends also, because they play a big part in our lives. a big part of how we shape ourselves, how we turn out as people is down to our friends and the company that we hold ultimately.
Definitely, Hasnain bhai, you hit the nail on the head there, because it's our own fault. We choose our own friends. It's not family, they're friends. Family we can't choose, friends we can. Right, by when we see our friends who are smoking drugs, we know it's wrong. As Muslims, from a young age, we all Muslims know drinking alcohol, smoking, or taking drugs. We all know it's wrong. So when we make these friends and we know they're into these activities, and we still choose to be their friend, this is our fault. When we know they don't read or offer their namaz, we still be their friend. When we know they gamble, we know it's wrong. When they drink alcohol, we know these actions are wrong, but we still choose to be their friends. And the disastrous consequences of this is that when you hang around with people like this, then all of a sudden, a lot of you start changing. The way you walk changes as a teenager. The way you sit, the time you come home changes. And because of that bad influence from your friends, then it comes to an extent that even the way you address your parents changes, and it gets to the extent that even your parents have to look carefully to see what mood you're in before they ask you questions. And all this because of a bad company has led somebody down the wrong path. So it's very, very important that from a young age we don't get into that peer pressure, and we really, really, truly need to be smart about this and try to define and, like I said, put some conditions there and decide that our friend should be a namazi. He should be one who follows the commands of Allah Almighty. Just one thing I want somebody mentioned to me is that how can someone be faithful to you? How can someone be reliable and trustworthy, talking about friends, when he is not following the commands of Allah Almighty? If he's not faithful to Allah Almighty, how is he going to be faithful to you? Some of us thinking about.
What do you think of this point where some people, they have this misconception, they have this false thought in their head that I'm okay, alhamdulillah, I read my salah, I'm good, I read my Quran, I'm good with my family. It doesn't matter if I chill with these certain types of boys, I'll be okay.
It's not that to have that mentality. It's very dangerous. As Muslims, we should have this. I must strive to reform myself and the people of the entire world as well. And if somebody's house, if your next door neighbor's house is on fire, you're not going to sit there and think, "Mera ghar theek hai, my house is okay. Let these house burn." No, because that fire is going to burn through the walls and is going to come into your house. In the similar fashion, if you're saying my friends are like this and I'm not like this, if you're okay with this, your friends being alcoholics or benamazis or smoking drugs or taking drugs or anything like this, maybe you might be okay today. Maybe you might be okay next week, but a time will come when the day has dragged you down. You've had a really hard day at work. You're really tired. You've come home. You've had a disagreement with the mother of your children. You've come out. You've met your friends. They're sitting there because it's always in front of your face. And you know that they say when they smoke this cannabis, it calms them down. When they drink the alcohol, it gets rid of their problems. These are the kind of comments these people would make. So then before you know it, there's going to be a day, we're not strong enough for the shaitan. The shaitan is going to influence us. Our friendship, our friend circle is going to influence us. You might think you're strong today, but somewhere down the line, there's going to be a time that you're going to start drinking that. You're going to start doing these drugs. These people who take drugs, they would have had friends who take drugs. They would have had friends who drink alcohol, and they would have been those people who say, "Oh, I don't do it. I just hang around with them." And this is how it starts. This is how they open the door and you walk through it.
Allahu Akbar. And there's a beautiful hadith that summarizes this, what you're saying there about how you can get influenced and how that fire can come into your house. The Prophet, I'm sure you know about this, Rahid Bhai and Waseem Bhai, mashallah, regular attendees of the Ijtima. The brothers mention it many times. The Prophet ﷺ gave the example of a perfume shop and a blacksmith. If you go into the perfume shop, you go into the ittar shop, even if you don't buy anything, at the very least, you're going to come out smelling nice, smelling of nice. And similarly, if you go into, if you visit a blacksmith, somebody who burns coal, somebody who's, working with fire and stuff, you're going to come out, some of that smell, the smoke will be on your clothes. In the same way, as we mentioned, and let's take a dunyavi example. It doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. Take a example. For example, business. If you're hanging around, if you're associating with 5 businessmen who are always talking about, which industries to invest in, what the yields are, what the rentals are in certain areas, if they're your 5 friends, you're going to pick up the tricks of the trade. You're going to work out, semi-commercial properties are good to invest in because they can give you X amount of yield, and you're going to pick up these tricks. Similarly, you know, if you're, like you said, Waseem bhai, if you're hanging around with namazis, if you're hanging around with brothers that are associated with their deen, you know, take yesterday as an example. Mashallah, Rahid bhai and Waseem bhai are regular attendees of Dawud Islami's Ijtimas and the Qafile as well. No doubt myself as well. Brothers will have texted you, you know, Shabi Qadr, it's Laylatul Qadr, what should we read on this night? This is the benefits of a good mahol, you know, the mahol of Dawud Islami, which has given us this honor that people see you as brothers who can answer these questions. You know, when Shab Barat comes, what do we read on this night? When Shab Barat comes, what do we read? What do we do on this night? People, they'll ask you, and that's the benefits of having good friends, good company. This is what we talk about. This is what you'll spread, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And just to go off that, what you said earlier, Waseem bhai, in regards to an individual, if they have the mentality, I pray my namaz, I go to the ijtima, I'm praying Quran, I'm okay. But my friends don't do it, they do the wrong, that's on them, but they're my friends, I've grown up with them. You got to remember that when these friends make a plan to do something, you're going to be left out because you want to pray your namaz, they don't take that into consideration. You know, like if you're hanging around with brothers who are namazi, whenever they're making a plan, namaz is in there, right? We pray namaz here, X, Y, and Z, then we go do this, this, and this. If an individual is going, hanging around with people, namaz isn't even a priority in their list if they're not praying the namaz.
That's right.
So already straight away, you're giving yourself a chance of missing your namaz or opportunity. If you know what I'm coming from. So these things that an individual might think, you know, it's not a biggie, I'm in charge. But like you say, shaitan doesn't always go for the first straight away, the thing that you're strong at. He'll go for little things. So if you just talk about the shaitan, sometimes you've used this example with myself a few times before, Waseem bhai, regarding how shaitan may not directly come for.
Yeah, it's very true what you're saying, right? But look, when I first joined this Madani Mahol, this environment, and you know, I started offering my namaz, what used to happen is the friends I used to hang around with, they were, majority of them were unfortunately namazi. So the example you give, there'd be times where they'd pick me up and it'd be like Maghrib time or just after, let's say I've offered Maghrib namaz and they'd pick me up in the evening. And when it was Isha time, I would say boys is Isha time. And I felt reluctant firstly to say, because I knew one, they might think, oh, Molvi Bangi, and you know, he's trying to Sanus Nanda, he's just telling us. And secondly, they were like, you know, my clothes are pure and just read it at home later. And this is what used to happen. And the opposite of this is that if 4 of you are reading namaz and the 5th person in your car isn't reading namaz and it becomes Isha time, them 4 are a lot more stronger than 1. Them 4 will say it's namaz time. That one's not going to say, oh, read it at home. He's alone. He's going to have to sit in that car outside the masjid whilst the other four go to offer their salah and come back. How many times is he going to do this? Next time you pick him up, he's going to make sure he's parked, his clothes are parked, and because he knows these 4, they're going to stop any minute and they're going to say, let's read namaz. So your company is everything. Back to your question about protection. When I then started offering my namaz, the beard started growing, the Imam Sharif, the chadar, and everything else what comes with it, alhamdulillah, when I started adorning myself with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes the shaitan attacks you. When you're in that stage, shaitan won't say to you, don't read namaz. He won't, because it's a bit extreme for somebody who has 2 chadars. Like Imam Sharif has a miswak in his pocket and he's offering his namaz with Jamaat 5 times a day. The shaitan is not going to attack him like this. The shaitan will say to him, Yaar, look how young you are. You got 2 chadars. One is a bit warm. Take one of the chadars off. So one of your chadars will come off. He might say, Chalo, you brush your teeth with this miswak Sharif. Chalo, you might fall out in your pocket. You might just leave it at home. So these, what we like to think, we might think of them as small attacks, or then you might say, Chalo, nafal chhod deo, you know, you just need your farz and your sunnats, and then, oh, it's not really important to wear Imam Sharif, it's not farz, it's only sunnat, you know, you're going outside and, you know, people will be staring at you, you just take the Imam Sharif off, you know, you don't really need to wear salwar please, or a madni libas or a jubba, you know, just it doesn't need to be as loose. It looks like, you know, unfortunately, people make comments that they are your bigger brother's clothes, etc. They mock the sunnah this way as well. So all these attacks from the shaitan, he'll get rid of all the desirable, the nawafil actions, all the sunnats, and then he'll work towards your farz and then your wajib and your farz, and in the end he'll go for your iman. So you got to be very careful, and the more barriers we create, these are, I like to think of barriers. The shaitan is not going to tell me don't wear a hat. He's going to say to me don't wear Imam Sharif. Before that, he's going to say to me don't wear the chadar if I was wearing a chadar above it. So the more gates, the more curtains we create between us and the shaitan. And then when the shaitan attacks us 2, 3, 4, 5 times, he's not got to our sunnahs or wajibs. He's just got rid of our desirables. You notice, oh, my miswak sharif, or you notice, oh, I'm not wearing my chadar today, or you might before you wake up and realize you've still protected from your farz and your wajib and your sunnah. So the more we do, the more the merrier.
Bishop. So we need to set up more defenses rather than giving ourselves reasons.
Rather than be hanging by a thread. Definitely.
Yeah. 100%. And obviously, like bad company is like holding, obviously, it's not the best analogy, but bad company is like if you say you had a weapon in your hand, but it's facing yourself, it's going to hurt you, it's going to do more damage to yourself than someone else. That's like bad company, isn't it? You're not harming somebody else, you're harming yourself by keeping bad company.
Bad company. Yeah, definitely.
So for example, I like a bit of archery. So if I'm doing archery, I'm meant to be throwing my arrows that way. If I'm pointing on myself, I'm just going to hurt myself on it. So I think bad company is the only person that does not benefit from friends that are not practicing is the individual himself. So, and I just wanted to ponder over the point where you just said earlier as well, regarding an individual, your friends, they remember you, a few posts, they put a few pictures up, rest in peace, this, that, the other. Is that going to benefit an individual in the grave? What is going to benefit an individual in the grave?
Go on, officer.
I'll leave that for us, Brother Hasnain, sorry.
Yeah, so, like you're saying, you could take the example of, Sadaqah Jariyah. The Prophet ﷺ said in a famous hadith that when a man dies, 3 things, all his deeds are discontinued apart from 3 things. One is, something that he might have done, something he might have put something out there, for example, a water pump, where people are benefiting from. One was literature. He might have written an article, he might have done a bayan, which is on YouTube. If this goes on YouTube, people can benefit 20, 30 years down the line. Maybe one of us won't be here. Allah gives us all long life, but people can benefit. And the third one is pious children. But that third one, it can be pious friends as well. The ulama say that, if somebody reads something good for you, if you're on your grave and somebody reads Fatiha Sharif for you and he gives you that Isaleh Thawab, that can benefit you. And, there's many hadith about, reciting Surah Yasin Sharif on Friday and giving the Thawab to the deceased. Eid is coming. No doubt the brothers of Dawud Islami will spread this wazifa. Whoever reads Subhanallah wa bihamdihi Subhanallah al-Azim 300 times, and he conveys that sawab to the deceased, whether it's his family or his friends. Them deceased will receive 300. They will receive 300 noors, portal rays of mercy in the grave. And that individual, when he passes away, he'll receive the same benefit. So these are the good actions that your friends can still benefit you. And they can read Isaleh Thawab for you, Quran Pak, Durood Sharif. And when you look at, again, come back to a good mahol, what's a common theme in Dawud Islami? All of us, when we first came into the mahol, one of the things, no doubt, that will have amazed all of us was that when somebody passes away, the amount of Isaleh Thawab that the Dawud Islami arranged for friends and family is unbelievable. It's numbers that we never heard before. 30, 40, 50 Quran Pak, 100 times Surah Yasin, thousands and thousands of times Durood Pak. And this is the tarbiyat given to us from Amir Ahl Sunnah. And these are the things that can actually benefit us. But if you come to a dunyavi side, the worldly side, anybody who has good character, who follows the character of the Prophet ﷺ, they will check in with your parents. If you pass away, they will go to see your parents on a regular. They will go to see your family and make sure that, if there's anything they can do to support, these are the things that will ultimately benefit.
One message I want to add to the public, to the viewers and the listeners is that, inshallah, my Husnul Zan is I like to think that some of you taking some of the points on board and hopefully making these intentions that if I do have friends like these, or if I am one of those friends who's like this, then inshallah I'm going to change my ways. And when you try to change, when you be a bit proactive, there's going to be many, many obstacles in your way. And you got to be a bit thick-skinned to people's comments, and you got to be very determined, because especially, I'll give my own example. When I jumped ship, when I came out the dark and into the nur, I like to say, what I experienced was, I used to think I'm one of the coolest guys, one of the coolest boys in my gang, in my so-called friend circle. And, I thought it'd be that when I change, so would everybody else who I thought was close to me. But the true reality, the fact was that when I tried to change and change my ways, I think from 20 to 30 people who are considered as my friends, there was only one brother who actually got encouragement from this, and alhamdulillah changed his way, and he's part of this Madni Mahol. He's Sharaidi, he offers his namaz 5 times a day, and mashallah is a really beautiful character. But what I'm trying to say is that those people who you think they're your friends for life, as soon as your opinion changes on life, as soon as you realize actually this is not where we should be going, this is not our path as Muslims, we should be doing X, Y, and Z, that's when you realize who your true friends are, because 90 or even higher % of them, they will leave you. They will leave you. Your phone won't ring as much. You won't receive the messages, because we should make friends for the sake of Allah Almighty as well. And unfortunately, before, our friends were because somebody smokes drugs. He has a house, so we could go to his house to smoke drugs. This person has a car, so let's chill with him, so we could go for drives and cruises with him. There's always a worldly link, a connection. Whereas, alhamdulillah, when you make friends for the sake of Allah Almighty, then these worldly things, they won't become obstacles for you. So you've got to be very, very... you hear comments and you might feel lonely as well, and this is how Dawat Islami helps as well, because when you're in that stage, when you feel like you got no friends, all of a sudden you have all this new group of friends, and these are genuine friends. That there's a brother in Blackman, right, by, I don't know if you remember, you probably will, Shoaib by Marhoom. He used to be a traffic warden. He passed away I think 6 or 7 years ago now, maybe longer. And he used to be the first person to hand in his Madni Namaz card at that time. The brother, I used to have the Zimmedari for the Madni Namaz, and he used to hand it in first, brother to hand in every month. And for a traffic warden, who you think is a hated job where a lot of people wouldn't like such a person, he's a traffic warden. The elders in Blackburn say that they didn't see more people at any janazah than they seen at this brother's janazah. And Dawat Islami, Hafiz you saying numbers, if I remember correctly, it was close to over 180 Quran Pak Isale Swab Dawat Islami did for this one brother. So your companionship, your friendship is everything, and you got to be a bit strong about these things, and ignore people's comments. And if you're really determined, then leave. But if you take the advice of Imam Azam Abu Hanifa, when he was asked about company, and he says that when you be with your friends, talk about Islam, talk about the religion. One of two things can only happen. The people who are interested will stay with you, and they'll still become your friends. So these are your old friends who weren't as religious. So you become religious. Talk about religion from time to time when you sit with them. The ones who are interested will stay in your company, and those who are disinterested, they will leave your company without falling out with you. And that's the important thing, because sometimes we think when we become religious, all our friends, listen, you guys don't read namaz, you don't follow the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, I don't want to hang around with you. This is not the correct way. When you see them talk about religion, they'll either stay with you and be more interested, or they'll slowly fade away, but you won't have that conscience that you left your friends. They will, because they left you. The problem is, unfortunately, deen comes between you. When you change your path, your friends then have a choice. Either still be your friend and continue with you, or because of the deen and you doing amal on your deen, unfortunately, your paths, you go on different ways. Your path different.
Very good. And I just want to share with you a story of having good company. This is from just yesterday night. So I had a cousin brother of mine, young lad. He's not with the Mahol, but he praises the namaz here and there. And at one time he was going to work in a different town, Preston, which is down the road from us. And I've got a friend who's from the Mahol who worked in Preston, and he said, are you going to work on a particular day, particular time? I said, no, my cousin is, he'll take you. So obviously I just linked them two together. They got chatting, obviously just going to work and back because they worked in the same building. Last year, my cousin's father passed away on the last night of Ramadan. Yesterday, my cousin texted me with a screenshot, and he goes, that brother sent me Isa alayhi sallam for my father's khatam for Quran Pak. So he goes, these lads just spent a very small amount of time. They weren't boys. They just used to go work and back together for a small period. That was only in the summer holidays as well, because he was a student. But the fact that, look, even though he only had brief company with this individual, he's benefited he's benefited from that. He's got Isa Swab, Qur'an Park for his father. And not the beauty of it is without him even asking.
Ji. It's true.
You know what I mean?
Go on, Hafiz sir.
Yeah, it's just having that company, isn't it? And you know, that becomes the norm. That becomes the expectation, mashallah. And alhamdulillah, he's obviously benefited it from it there. Waseem, you mentioned, you know, how you know, when you came into the Mahol, how, you know, your friend circle changed. What about your friends in college and university and high school? Are you still with them today?
No, unfortunately, majority of my friends, like I mentioned about, I think I had, you know, I thought I had about 20 good friends, you know, like proper, you know, together till we die kind of thing, about 20 of them. And I mean, so I came in this Madani Mahal when I was 24, right? And I'm 37 now. So now there is 2 brothers from them 20, or maybe 3, who I'm in regular contact with. When I say regular, maybe weekly, quick chat, maybe a message, but that's about it. The rest of them, don't get me wrong, when I see them, salam dua, I stop them, but no, nothing. There's no contact, nothing at all. Hafsab.
Yes. And what about those brothers who think that, you know, mashallah, you were talking about 2 chadars, miswak. You know, if there's some young viewers watching now, you know, what's the message to them about, you know, is coming into deen, you know, are we going to become hardcore Maulvis? Is our life going to end? Is our enjoyment going to end? We can't do all the fun things which are, you know, jais as well. Before
the lockdown, Hafiz Sahab, me and 6 or 7 of us in total, we went to Antalya. All of us, Bashara, Jamaat, namaz padne wale, full dari on our face, Imama sheets, everything. And we had a private villa with a swimming pool, swimming, diving, somersaults into that pool, pictures, snapshots, slow motion dives and everything. Alhamdulillah, Sitr was covered because we have that mindset that have as much fun as you like, but within the borders of Shariat. So it's not like that. The youngsters, especially, they might think, oh, Maulvi Bangi is going to have a sad life, nothing close to from the truth. We are actually very cool people. We play football. We do all these activities. We go on holidays regularly. And even those people who I've known all my lives, and when I come across them, they'd be pleasantly surprised that this brother, he's not changed. You know, he's still smiling. He still has a laugh, and he still has the, you know, what it is, your personality stays the same. You know, your character, you change. But if your personality is very difficult for someone's personality to change. So how are you going to stay like this? But you're going to have a good character. So it's nothing, you know, like I said, we play football once, twice a week. Talking about football, we've had a few games, Blackburn versus Batley as well before the lockdown. So you'll be well aware of it as well.
About the Sitr, it reminded me actually, Waseem, and I guess, you know, obviously we're going to talk about football and stuff and what happened that day, but there's a serious point here. Waseem mentioned, you know, they went on holiday and the Sitr was covered, you know, and this gives you, you know, it'll basically summarize this discussion for you, that, you know, how important it is to have good company and what the difference is. You know, Waseem plays football quite regularly. I do myself as well. And, you know, we've probably been at both ends of the spectrum. You know, I've played with brothers who don't practice their salah. And what happens is you start compromising, unfortunately. You know, if Maghrib namaz is at like 8:10 and you're playing 8 till 9, you know, you start making a compromise that, you know what, I'll pray after the game. And, you know, after the game, everyone's excited. They're talking about the match, who missed these chances, who missed, you know, who played better, who got megged, and all that kind of stuff. Before you know it, you might even miss your salah. But the benefit on the flip side of playing with brothers who are, you know, who read their salah, and we've had this live example, you know, before lockdown, there was a famous match, Blackburn versus Dewsbury. And I don't know, actually, Rahid Bhai, you got the message of what happened. Waseem Bhai and the brothers, they came down to play. And what was beautiful, before we go on to that, we'll say, you know, Waseem Bhai, such a beautiful thing. He said to me, you know, we've got 3 rules, we've got 3 conditions that we'll play here. And, you know, everybody has to cover their sitr, nobody wearing shorts, no swearing, and no
Triple S,
yeah.
What was the third one?
No spitting, no swearing, and no shorts. And, you know, that's the first time we've had a match with anybody where them have been the conditions, and it shows the beautiful mahal that they in, mashallah. Anyway, we accepted the conditions, And we had the match, and I'll let Waseem Bhai tell you how the rest of the game went.
Right by, I don't know if you know, but Batley is quite far, especially after a long day's work. And when you have to drive, then play a game, you can't play to your high level performance which you're used to. So unfortunately, keeping that excuse in mind, yeah,
So
it's 1-0 to Batley.
I didn't know about the match, but from the way you two are talking about it, it seems, mashallah, that the Maulvis did have fun. So
Definitely.
it's, that stereotype about brothers who have a beard and have Imam Sharifs on the head, they don't have fun. Mashallah, look, you can see the brothers remembering it, smiling it.
Right, but I'll give you an example closer to home. You know, Kyle Bhai, he's in the Madni Mahal of Dawud Islami, alhamdulillah. He's in his second year of doing Dars-e-Nizami. He's doing an Alim course in Jamiatul Madina. He came in the Madni Mahal through football. What used to happen, Rashid Madni, Shahid Bhai, who used to be our Nigran of Blackburn at the time, and myself and a few others, Islamic Bhai, we used to play indoor, five-a-side in DW. And what happened was Kyle Bhai's father, Zoud Bhai, he wanted his son to play with us, and both of his sons, Kashif Bhai, used to come as well. And this is how Kyle Bhai came close to the Madni Mahal, because he used to be really interested in football, and all of a sudden he's seeing people with full beards and who he normally sees doing bayans and teaching Dars-e-Nizami, trying overhead kicks on the pitch, and he's thinking, actually, these are actually normal guys.
Did that brother play that day?
Jay?
Did that brother play that day?
Kyle Bhai started playing. It was a regular once-a-week game, and he started playing with us then, and continued playing for a year and a half or so.
He played the game in Dewsbury.
Oh yes, he played that day. Yes.
One of our brothers as well. We got Madani Bahar from our side as well. Ali Bhai, one of the players. I don't know if you remember him, but the same with him. Came into contact with him through football, and just playing regularly together. From there, he started coming to the Ijtimas, and now, mashallah, he's in the division Mushawarat. Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
Milad gatherings at his house every year, and slowly like this, when the Muballighs come into the Mahal, they start changing their families as well. The home Mahal, they start doing these gatherings at home. They start reciting Surah Mulk at home, and alhamdulillah.
So, Brother Hasnain, my next question for yourself is the same question you asked to Brother Waseem. From all your friends, from your your late teens, your 20s, how many of them are you in touch with now?
I think similar to Waseem Bhai, I'm in touch with all of them in the sense that, if you were to see them or, their name pops up on the phone, you will do salam dua. There's no narazgi there. You don't fall out. You don't part ways in that way. But definitely, I wouldn't say that I chill with them. I don't hang around with them. Most of them, I don't see them on a regular. And actually, the brother that introduced me to the Mahal of Dawud Islami, he's actually in jail. He's locked up today. He introduced the Mahal to me. He started inviting me to the Thursday Ijtimas. And I started attending the Ijtimas later in life. He had a few problems, and he's locked up today. So it shows how you can go on your own paths, and things change. But I wouldn't say that I'm in touch with any of them on a regular basis. I wouldn't say they're in a close circle now.
And just for this question's for both of you, Waseem, I'll let you answer first. But just for the young viewers, because the thing is, I've heard these stories throughout my early 20s, late teens, your friends, and you always think, no, not me, yeah. Did you brothers at that time when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, thinking these are my boys for life? No, not me. These lot stick with me.
110%. I thought, that you be naive, you're young, and you think that these people who are with you, they're going to be, you even prioritize them over your immediate family, your brothers, sisters, your parents even. You spend a lot of time with them. You feel like they understand you more better because for whatever reason at home, you might not be talking properly with your siblings or with your parents. And yes, you do think at the time that these friends of mine, they're going to be with me for life. But like I said, if your friendship, the foundation of your friendship is you with each other because he has money, he has a house where we could go and chill, he has the car, we could go and chill. As soon as that thing disappears, then the friendship is going to get weakened. So you do think that, but as you get older and wiser, you realize that is far from the truth. So you should not try to learn from other people's mistakes. These youngsters shouldn't wait to make these mistakes themselves. They should realize that a true friend is he who, when you see him, he reminds you of Allah Almighty. When he speaks, it increases your Islamic knowledge. When he does any action, it reminds you of the hereafter. These are the kind of friends we need to make. At the end of the day, we Muslims, we all know this, and we believe this, that we are Musliman, and then we need to make our life easier by having the right people with the same mission around you.
And Hasnain bhai, same question to yourself. Anything you'd like to add? And your own.
Yeah, no, I think no doubt. You know, when you're in that, when you're in them, when you're with your boys, and you know you're young, you're naive. You know, you do think, you know, we're gonna be together all the way. You know, everyone, you know, some people have this misconception that we grew up together. You know, so that's it. Everything we do has to be together. We went to school together, so you know we're partners for life. We're boys for life, homies for life. The best way to think about it is, you know, on the day of judgment, if your friend was in the hellfire, you know, are you going to go and join him because you grew up together? Are you going to go and join him because you went to college together? You know, we need to look after ourselves, you know, in a selfish kind of way. You know, you need to look after yourself, your families, and your akhirah. And, you know, just because you've grown up with someone or you went to college with somebody, they're not going to be your boys for life. Learn from us. You know, we've told you that, you know, we don't really, you know, associate with them friends we were with in college or in high school, what we were up to then. You know, that's not the path that we've chosen now. You know, then brothers who are watching this, there's some young brothers, you know, they can take them lessons earlier on than us even.
The thing is, we've got to realize, right, by that, you know, a lot of us, we used to think we're cool, and cool is that person who will be cool in the hereafter, in paradise and away from the fire of hell. You know, I used to think of the coolest in my boys, my gang. I used to think of the coolest, you know, but you really were the black sheep, you know, at home. You know, you were at the bottom. In society, in the community, people would say things like, don't hang around with this certain individual. But you used to think in your own mind that, you know, what you're doing is right and you're the coolest. But once Allah Almighty guides you and you be a bit proactive and try to change your life, that's when you're cool. Because all of a sudden you're wearing these tailor-made cotton crisp clothing. All of a sudden, you know, you got the crown of the angels on your head, the sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. All of a sudden, when you're walking on the street, people are not walking on the other side of the footpath, but walking towards you to give you salam. There's parents who come up to you who say, make dua for my son, you know, you used to be with him, can you change him? You know, mashallah, you've changed. And all of a sudden, people are asking you to make dua for them. And all of a sudden, your phone book is full of Hafiz so-and-so, Maulana so-and-so, Mufti so-and-so. All of a sudden, you have all the connections in the world, and all of a sudden, you are the don. You know, like how they say, you're the boss. It's just about changing that mentality. We got to hit that reset button. The reason we've been created like a mobile phone, you know, adding all these extra things, it makes the phone slow down. When you give it a good factory reset, you know, it is designed. We are designed for a certain purpose. So, you know, instead of taking all this extra board and burden on, you know, getting misguided, we need to do that reset, and we need to realize what is the purpose of us being on this dunya, and try to be around people who are on the same mindset as you.
Jazakallah for that, Hazrat. And Waseem bhai, mashallah, we have got a short time left. But what I wanted to ask is, we've talked about the boys and we've talked about bad company. Okay, we've mentioned that. We've talked about the positives of having good company as well. Do you know, like, when you're with your boys, even your friends, like your boys you've grown up with, and the few that you are still in contact with, when you do want to link them, you have to make effort, i.e. you both have to be available at the same time, day, you know, everyone's got, Me and yourself, over the years, even if I don't text you, somewhere along the line, we'll always bump into each other. Whether I'm praying namaz in your locality, you praying in my locality. Brother Hasnain, you probably experienced something similar. Whenever you're praying namaz, you'll always bump into someone. After you pray namaz, you'll have a short chat with them, a short catch up with them. And you, even though you're not trying to, you're still keeping rabta with people just by going to, you know, pray namaz, whether it be at masjid. And how that is like, you probably speak to the namazis more, even though you're not texting them all the time. You probably speak to them more, even in that few minutes after namaz, than you do with your friends that you've grown up with for so long.
Most of my friends are like, in that context, you saying, if you class those friends now who you see regularly, most of my friends are 40, 50, 60 years old, because every day before the lockdown, we used to offer namaz with Jamaat. We used to see these people who are father's age and people who are 10, 15 years older than me. And you see them every day, and they sort of become your friends. You see them more than you see those people who you call friends. So you're 100% right. And again, when you go into different areas, you meet these. So your full circle of friends, the people you associate, it changes. So I'm pretty confident today that if I die today, if I pass away today, I know for a fact there's going to be a lot of Isali Swab, a lot of Quranic Parks, which people out of the kindness of the heart will donate to me. I know for a fact that if I die today in normal circumstances in Blackburn, I know for a fact there'll be a lot of people on my janazah, there'll be a lot of people who will support my family. I know these because these people I've seen firsthand when other people who passed away, how they've served them, how they've helped their families, and that gives you a lot of confidence. It gives you a lot of peace of mind that Alhamdulillah you're doing something right, and you're around the right people. And this is the kind of this is every person should ask themselves that if I die today, who's going to be there for me? Who's going to be there for my family? We should ask ourselves that if on the day of judgment, if I pass away, and when I resurrected again, who I'm going to be with? You're going to be with those people who you're with here, those people who you try to follow or your love for. You're going to be with them. So you want to be with the Prophet ﷺ. You want to be with the pious people, and life is a lot better if you actually try. It's very difficult saying, "Oh, I can't change because my lifestyle's like this. I can't do it. It's easy saying it, but what you have to do is you have to be a bit proactive. When you drink medicine, no one likes the taste, but you have to have it to cure you. So when you away from these people, which if you're not used to reading namaz, if you read namaz one day, all of a sudden will become a 5-time namazi. If you take drugs, if you stop taking drugs, all of a sudden you're not going to be drug free and you're not going to have them thoughts. Of course you are. Maybe 1 in a million or 1 in 1,000 will wake up one day and all of a sudden, his full life has changed. But for everyone else, the stages, you got to force yourself. You got to be proactive. Sometimes there'll be days when you won't feel like reading namaz, but you have to force yourself. If you're asking me how those people who know me, they knew what I was like before, but let's not go into that. But what I'm trying to say is that I didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden have a beard on my face and Imam Sharif and start reading Bayan and all these things. I had to force these things. I still was tempted to do a lot of things what I used to do before, but you just got to force yourself not to, and then over time it becomes a good habit, and then it becomes part of your life, and it becomes second nature, alhamdulillah.
Ji, Brother Hasnain, in regards to yourself, how was just going to the masjid, doing something as straightforward as praying your namaz, depending whether obviously you always pray in different areas depending on where you are. How has that helped you maintain ties and keep in touch with brothers?
I think it plays a very, very big part. So when we first got introduced to the Mahal, naturally it started with the Thursday night Ijtimas. We started attending there. You see a few brothers there, and them are the ones who help you along the way. They're the ones who turn out to become your close friends. I don't know if Waseem Bhai would agree, but I started attending the Ijtima on Thursdays. I met a few local brothers there, and then my local masjid. When you start reading namaz at your local masjid, it's those brothers who you see regularly, those brothers who you see every day. And alhamdulillah, I was fortunate enough that in my locality, we have Waseem Bhai, who's the Manchester Nigran. And obviously he'd been in the Mahal for many, many years before that. And, I became very close friends with him, and he was able to help me, go to the big Ijtimas around the country when there used to be North level Ijtima, there used to be South level Ijtima, the UK level Ijtimas. And together, we used to gather people for the coaches, and having good friends, available there to you when you're on that journey, when you're early on in that journey, is very, very important, because they'll mold you and they'll guide you further, inshallah. And like Waseem Bhai was saying, it's very, very important that, we think to ourselves that, what benefit, in fact, sometimes you have to point the question to yourself as well. Those people who are with you, what benefit are you giving to them? What fight are you giving to them as well? You have to question yourself that, on the day of judgment, what if you were questioned? That, you wasted such and such person's time, you wasted such and such person's time. What benefit did you give them? Apart from those brothers, like you say, in the masjid, who we're in contact with, the other friends, unfortunately, it's probably restricted to WhatsApp. Anyone you don't see in masjid, you'll be on a WhatsApp group with them. And if that's blowing up, if that's popping up, you'll keep in contact with them through that. And that's about it, really.
Jazakallah. So, mashallah, time has flown. We are more or less towards the end of the show. What I wanted to ask is, obviously, the lockdown's different for everyone, because no one's ever experienced lockdown before, number one. And number two, Eid's around the corner. So, Waseem bhai, firstly, how will you be spending your Eid, or how should a brother be spending their Eid currently in lockdown?
I'm gonna have breakfast in the kitchen. I'm gonna have lunch in the living room. I'm gonna have my evening meal in the front room. I've been going off the government guidelines, which we should follow, and do ihtiyat, be you have to be precautious. Prevention is better than cure. You don't want to go down that traditional route of going to your extended family's homes and spending time with them, or even going with your friends and putting yourself in that danger of being infected with COVID-19. So how I'm going to spend my Eid is we live in a big family, my parents and my brother and myself and our children. So we are sort of all isolated together. So it'll be fun and games for us because there's a good few people there. But for other people who are not so fortunate, I'd like to say, they'll have to just follow the rules and try and spend that time at home. The last thing you want to do is go out and one, give people a chance to point a finger at you, and secondly, put yourself in any danger from a health point of view. And especially, I mean, if you're referring to the question in such a way that you want me to say about friends and hiring cars and stuff like that, I don't even think we should mention that because of the amount of restriction. I don't think anybody in their wildest thoughts would be still thinking about hiring cars and going around. If they are, then that's stupidity. What can you say? But if there is, then I'll mention that please don't do that. And even if it wasn't lockdown, this hiring cars, we need to get away from these traditions of hiring cars and going on these roads and keeping. Some people think that on this day you're allowed to break the rules, or they think that on this day. I spoke to a police officer once. He said to me that some Muslims on Eid day they be smoking cannabis in front of us. At the traffic lights, or there's policeman there. There's one thing hiding it. They don't even hide it. They just be smoking it, thinking it's Eid and we're allowed. And some of us, unfortunately, we might have that mentality that because it's Eid, we're allowed to not wear our seatbelt, we're allowed to speed, we're allowed to smoke drugs. I've never got it. I've never, even before when I was in the Madni Mahal, that wasn't me. And I don't understand why people get a lot of enjoyment in doing things like that.
Jazakallah for that. Brother Hasnain, put a bit of a spin on that question. Waseem bhai kind of dealt with what we should and we shouldn't be doing. Islamically, is there what should we be reading? How should we spend our day to benefit and get the most out of this day from an Islamic perspective?
Well, I think we've got a great opportunity during lockdown to make the most of the night. So, the Chandra is known as Laylatul Jaiza. It's very, very, it's a big night in the Islamic calendar, which we almost overlook because we're so joyous. It's been a tough month of fasting, and, people are still doing the last minute Eid shopping. And unfortunately, those brothers who are involved in bad habits, they think, they've got a license to, go and hire cars and do whatever they plan to do. But it's actually a very spiritually quite a very uplifting night. The ulama say, and the Awliya Ikram say that, Imam Abu Hanifa used to do tilawat of the full Quran during this night. And it's a good opportunity during lockdown to make the most of that night, read some nafal, read through some extra ibadats. We're not going anywhere fast anyway. So, make the most of that night, which is probably something we can do, which is not normal. On the day itself, don't let that spirit of Eid go away from your family. Of course, follow the lockdown rules in line with what the government's saying, but, try, if it's possible, wear new clothes, get your kids to wear new clothes, dress smart, cook the food at home, enjoy it with your family, and explain to and still explain to them how, the love of Eid and that Eid spirit, we can still keep it alive during lockdown.
MashaAllah. Right, but I want to say one last thing is that, the viewers who are watching, they might be thinking, that, and sometimes they get this service, they get these waswas say that these Maulvis or these religious looking people, they look down on us. They don't want to associate with us. We're not worthy to be with them. Maybe they might be thinking like this kind of thoughts, but it's far from the truth. Maybe there might be some people who think like this, but that's the fault in that individual. Islam doesn't teach this. We hate the sin, not the sinner. So those individuals out there who are from Blackburn or anywhere, if they might be thinking, oh, I want to change, what do I do? Then Alhamdulillah, there's approach me. I like to think I'm an approachable individual. Anytime you see me in the street, don't be thinking, I say this to the students in the madrasa as well. I go, when you see me in the streets, don't be ducking and diving, hiding in the cars and think Maulvi Sahib's there. It shouldn't be like that. It should be the opposite. You should be crossing over the road and think, Maulvi Sahib, Sadi Tiko. So even the wider public, anyone, if they might be hesitant, thinking that, they don't want to know us. So it's nothing like that. Do approach us. Sometimes we might not have a smile on our face, and that's our kamzori. But don't think that is because of anything you brothers are saying or doing. Just come and approach us, and inshallah we'll make time for you. Worst case scenario, we could have a WhatsApp relationship on any issues, questions need answering. It's only 11 digits away.
The point of these talks, the point of these seminars is, to give hope to our youth that, one day as well. We're not saints now. Allah forgive our sins. There's still many of them. We're not looking down on anybody. We've just benefited from a beautiful mahal which has helped us along our path, and we'd like to share that. And there's a famous quote that's used. Every saint has a past, but most importantly, remember, every sinner has a future. And that's the message that our viewers should be taking, really, that, no matter where you are in your life, where you are in your career, use this Ramadan, use this lockdown, with COVID-19, use this as a platform, as a springboard for you to go on and make a change, inshallah.
Jazakallah for both your time. And just to finish off there, you mentioned regarding the night of Eid. I just want to finish off on a hadith sharif of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a narration from Sunan Ibn Majah, and the Prophet ﷺ has said, whoever stood to offer salah in the nights of Eid, whether it be Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha, in order to earn reward, his heart will not die on the day when hearts will die. So, rather than talk about the celebration, Eid day, the whatever's on, that night of Eid, which is obviously comes before the day of Eid, let's also put that into good use, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And just to go off what Brother Hasnain said, we none of us three brothers here today who have done this talk, we are claiming that we are perfect and we're living a life of, with no problems whatsoever. All we're saying is that looking back, one aspect that could, me personally, we could change for the better is our company. You know what I mean? I myself have fallen for this, that I'm all right, I pray my namaz, go ijtima, doesn't matter who my boys are. And it does have an effect on you going into the future. Waseem bhai and Hasnain bhai, I don't know if that's yourself, if you ever you think the one thing that you can change would be your friends. And, you can never move the clock back. But what you can do is people are in that age that you're referring to now, who are a lot younger, you can benefit them. And that was the aim of this program. If we have said anything incorrect, may Allah Azza wa Jal forgive us all. And I request all the viewers, Brother Hasnain, Brother Waseem, remember all of us in your du'as as well. If there's anything you'd like to finish off on, Brother Hasnain, if there's anything you'd like to say to the viewers, let's start with you.
Yeah, no, I think, it's important, what benefited all three of us was the mahal of Dawat Islami. If you know some Dawat Islami brothers, get connected with them. Even during lockdown, there's seminars happening. Ijtimas are going to start happening on Facebook Live next week, on Zoom. Madani is always with us, even within our households. Get connected to this mahal. You'll find like-minded brothers, and they'll help you along the journey. And in advance, Eid Mubarak to everyone. And remember, us in your du'as as well. Like Rahid Bhai said, we're not saints. We've got flaws. We have got a problem-free life. We're just like you guys. Probably might even have more problems. So remember us in your du'as in the last few days of Ramadan as well. And in advance, Eid Mubarak to everyone.
MashaAllah.
And Brother Waseem bhai?
I just want to say that, if you really love your friends, if you really love your family members, then you got to do a bit more. Don't just go through life, just going through life. Just try to be a bit more focused of the reason you're on this planet. Why are you here? And try to help change the lives of all those people who are around you. Try to make a difference to other people's lives. If they are your friends and really are your friends, then one have the intention to change yourself, but secondly, bring as many people in as you want. The last thing you want to see is on the day of judgment, your friends, if you have that much love for them, what you want for yourself, you should want for them as well. You want to go to paradise, you want to take your friends to paradise with you. So by, as they say, by hook or by crook, but in our case, by using wisdom, inshallah, try to get them over and try to, make them religious as well. And I just want to say to Hafsab, Jazakallah for your time and joining us as well. And make sure you get that training, and we're coming for that rematch. And there's this time, no Punjabi there are no liaz. There will be no liaz this time.
Down, yeah, after all of this extra weight that we've been putting on, I think we might need the aggregate score. So far the score stands at 20-0. We might need to work on the aggregate score.
Listen, it's 1-0 in games.
Chalo. Alhamdulillah. Allah bless you.
No worries. Inshallah, we'll do it again sometimes. Inshallah. Dua mein yaad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.